Yes, I didn't see him. What are you looking so sad about, Jack?
I'm surprised. I mean, I'm really insulted. I mean, that's not right what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm getting a drink of water. I'm late getting on, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talk about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, one time during my career, I was on a Bomber of the Month tour.
Bomber of the Month? I would have been a bomb compared to you.
What's happening, my people? It's Cat Sports again, back for another afternoon with the family. That's right. You know what time it is. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's the Boxtorian, bringing you all that boxing history. Boxing is the greatest sport of them all. That's why we love it, can't get enough of it. Salute to Miss Cass, because without her, none of this would be possible. Salute to everyone, and welcome to another episode of Cass Sports, the Boxtorian. Today, the Bum of the Month Tour. The Bum of the Month Tour. How's the family today? We're back beginning another big week of boxing history today. How was everyone's weekend? Hope everyone had a nice, safe weekend. Got a big week coming up, starting with the Bum of the Month Tour today. From December 1940 to May 1941, that 6-month span, Joe Louis fought 6 fighters, 6 opponents, 1 per month. They all were thought to be lower level opponents, but some of them gave Joe Louis some good battles. A couple of them went 12, 13 rounds with him. We're going to look at that today. And before we get started, let's look at the week. Today, of course, is the Bum of the Month tour. Tomorrow is going to be boxing in the 1930s. Probably hear more about Joe Louis in that tomorrow. We're going to look at boxing in the 1930s, some of the top fighters from that period in boxing history, some of the top fights. And then Wednesday, we got a show from the chat this week. Haven't had one in a while. And this one's going to be good because it's from none other than the legendary Thomas Hill. Boxing Cornerman, Wednesday. What to you about Thomas Hill, okay? Thursday, we're going to continue our series looking at the sanctioning bodies. We're doing them as they came into existence. We're up to the WBC. We're going to look at some of the positives and negatives of the WBC Thursday, led by Mauricio Suleiman himself. And then Friday for the profile is the life and career of gentleman Jerry Cooney. Big 6'7" heavyweight. He was the exception back then, not the rule. Plenty of those types around nowadays, but 6'7", big like that wasn't normal back then. And Jerry came along towards the end of the golden age, the 70s, came in the late 70s, but he fought some big names. He fought Ken Norton, he fought Ron Lyle, he fought Jimmy Ellis, Jimmy Young, and he fought Larry Holmes. That's the fight he's most known for, the Holmes fight. But you know, Ellis, Lyle, Norton were all toward the end of their careers. But hey, on Box Record, don't say they were all toward the end of their careers. It's just got their names on Jerry's record with a W beside them. Okay, so he did beat them. But Friday, gentleman Jerry Cooney, the life and career. That's the profile this week. And today, the Bum of the Month tour, starring Joe Louis. Okay, how's everybody today? Starting off another week of boxing history on Cast Sports, the Box Story, bringing you all that boxing history. Yeah, and this is fight week for Andy Cruz and Raymond Muratalla, right? And just 1 weekend away from Shakur and Teofimo. Been waiting on that one. Keyshawn Davis and Jermaine Ortiz is the co-main. Good card. Shushu Carrington on it. And some other names. And then, Xander Zayas also in action that weekend. And Backwell. Muratalla. Or something like that. So, yeah. But, some big fights coming up. January. We started this year off. Murtazalia. Backwell Murtazalia. Yeah. Started this year off in good shape. And if we can get fights like that every month for the year, wow, we're going to have a good year boxing. Okay, but let's get ready to start with our fight of the day so we can get into the Bum of the Month tour. Joe Louis's Bum of the Month tour. Hear what he just told Ali, right? Ali would have been in that era. Ali would have been on that tour. That's what Joe Louis said. Now, he's supposed to have said that jokingly, but I've heard him say it other times too. So Joe Louis might have really believed that. He would have put Ali on that Bum of the Month tour. Okay, but let's get into our fight of the day now. For today, start out this week. Okay. So now, without further ado, today's fight of the day. Okay. Today's fight of the day is Sugar Ray Robinson versus Joey Maxim. June the 25th, 1952. The heat was on. All right. What was that all about? The heat was on. Robinson versus Maxim. Again, June 25th, 1952. The heat was on. Let's talk about it. When Evil Heat and the Rock Chin stopped the greatest ever. Sugar Ray Robinson's lofty place in boxing lore was as cemented as the chin of his former six-time rival, Jake LaMotta. Robinson, for whom the term pound for pound best was invented, had ruled the world at welterweight, the greatest ever, and middleweight, one of the greatest ever. And he had taken on and beaten all comers. Sugar Ray was 31 years of age at the time of this fight, and he had nothing at all left to prove. Nothing. But, as is the case with the great ones, the special ones, the egotistically driven ones, Robinson wanted more. Sugar Ray wanted to do something no other welterweight champion had ever done: win the light heavyweight crown. So, on June 25th, 1952, in New York City, Robinson, an incredible, coming into this fight, 132 wins, 2 losses, and 2 draws, met 175-pound king Joey Maxim, who came into the fight with 78 wins, 18 losses, 4 draws. And, crucially, Maxim was stopped just once, this by Curtis Shepard, a noted heavyweight. Now, the fight had been set for a couple of days before, yet a massive downpour of rain forced the postponement. Fight was outside at Yankee Stadium. So when the first bell did eventually ring, New York was experiencing its hottest day on record, 103 degrees. Okay, 103 degrees at the first bell. Wow. Now stop for a minute and imagine how hellish, how cruel, how dangerous it must be fighting under hot ring lights, under such burning conditions for 15 long, hard rounds. It must really have been hell for both men and for the referee. Now, more about that later, okay? Not just the fighters, the referee also. Now, Robinson dazzled the slow-footed, sure and steady Maxim for a good 10 rounds. The smaller but faster, slicker, more punch-versatile boxing master having his way. Maxim, though, was unhurt, and he was constantly trudging forward. Later, Maxim and his manager, Doc Kern, said their game plan was to let Robinson punch himself out. This Sugar Ray did. The blistering heat both speeding up and intensifying his fatigue condition. By the 12th round, Robinson was visibly, to use a British word, snackered. His legs, his arms, his brain betraying him. The pound-for-pound king had hit the wall, almost. Only raw courage on Robinson's behalf would allow him to see it through to round 13. This after famed referee of the day, Ruby Goldstein, had himself collapsed, replaced by another third man, or the fourth man in the ring for that day. Not only that, but a good number of fans had by the 12th round fainted under the scorching heat. Referee, fans, everybody going down. 103-degree heat outside at Yankee Stadium that day. In the unlucky 13th round, Robinson, flailing like a drunken sailor, tossed out a big right hand, which sailed clean over its intended target. Robinson was left flat on his face. The momentum of the missed blow, combined with its almost fatal state of exhaustion and dehydration, tipping him over and almost over the edge. Dragged back to his corner in a reportedly delirious state, Robinson was unable to go out for the 14th round. Maxim, who later said there weren't no air conditioning in my corner, had retained his title, the first and, as it turned out, only man to ever stop Robinson, although the heat gave him a big assist in stopping Sugar Ray that day. Robinson had lost an incredible 16 pounds in weight during the fight. Maxim himself had lost a reported 10 pounds. Sugar Ray, when he had recovered, announced his retirement. It stuck for 2.5 years. Maxim would lose his next fight to the ageless Archie Moore. Maxim, like Sugar Ray, would suffer a stoppage loss just once in his entire pro career. Now, the question has often been asked, what would Sugar Ray have done had he beaten Maxim? As he came so close to doing, it almost certainly would have done had the fight been fought under a cooler sky or indoors. Imagine a Sugar Ray Robinson versus Archie Moore fight, for one mesmerizing possibility. Or would Robinson, having done what he set out to do, have opted to drop back down, thus vacating his third world title? We will never know. But the fight of 74 years ago this year between Sugar Ray Robinson and Joey Maxim will never be forgotten. And there you have it, the fight of the day. Sugar Ray got stopped by the heat. Only time he was ever stopped in his career. Well ahead on all the cards, going for his third division at light heavyweight. When the heat, he couldn't continue. And they had to change referees because of the heat. Some fans in the audience fainted. It was rough that day. But that's today's fight of the day. So now let's go take a look at the Bum of the Month Club. Let's get into today's show, which is the Bum of the Month Tour. Bum of the Month Tour. Here Joe Louis fought 6 opponents between December 1941 and December 1940 and May 1941. 6-month span. 6 opponents, 1 per month. The Bum of the Month Tour. Okay, that's today's show. Let's get into it. All right. So now, without further ado, let's get into today's show. The Bum of the Month Tour.
Champ now. Yes, I didn't say. What are you looking so sad about, Champ?
I'm surprised at you. I mean, I'm really insulted. I mean, that's not right, what you just said.
What do you mean, what I just said?
I mean, I'm getting paid for what I'm late getting on, but you talk. I said something about the greatest heavyweight champ, man. I'm a hometown man, and you talk about Joe Louis, man. Joe Louis wouldn't be nothing for me. Joe, I tell you, Joe, do you think you would have stood a chance with me?
Well, played one time during my career. I went on a Bum of the Month tour.
Bum of the month. I would have been a bum compared to you.
Well, you've been on the tour.
All right. Joe Louis said if Ali would have been back in that era, Ali would have been on the tour. Okay, now he seemed like he said it jokingly, but I've heard Joe Louis say that before, so he might have really believed that, right? Ali would have been part of that Bum of the Month tour, but let's get into it. The Bum of the Month tour. Joe Louis's Bum of the Month tour. Now, I resent that because if a kid's a fighter, he can't be a bum. You got to be a special individual to be a fighter. I blow my stack when I hear that because it's one-on-one. Anything can happen. Any bum can get lucky. There's no bum of the month. Angelo Dundee. Those words were spoken by the legendary Angelo Dundee. Said there's no bum of the month. From December 1940 to May 1941, Joe Louis took on a series of challenges at the rate of one per month. Now, prior to these fights, neither of the challengers were considered as worthy tests for the champion. Rightly or wrongly, history has labeled this series of fights as the Bum of the Month tour. Has history been fair to these fighters? Do these fighters deserve to be associated with such a derogatory term or title? Today, we're going to take a close look at the fighters and the fights that made up Joe Louis's Bum of the Month tour. By December of 1940, it was felt by many that Joe Louis was in a class by himself. Up to that time, 11 men had tried to wrest his crown away from him, and 11 men had failed. There didn't appear to be any significant opponent out there that could extend the champion. Only Max Baer and Billy Conn seemed to have any kind of credentials, and even they were thought of as merely opponents. On the 5th of December, 1940, Joe Louis's promoter, Mike Jacobs, announced that Joe was going to take on a number of challengers to his crown at the rate of one per month. The fights were to be indoors and would be climaxed by an outdoor fight against a worthy challenger who would most likely be Billy Conn. Boston, Massachusetts was treated to its first ever heavyweight championship fight when the first fight of this series was scheduled for December 16th, 1940 at Boston Garden, Boston, Massachusetts. The name of the challenger was Al McCoy, heavyweight champion of New England. First member of the Bum of the Month tour, Al McCoy, heavyweight champion of New England. At the time, McCoy had a record of 115 wins, 31 losses, with only 4 of those losses by knockout. He was 26 years old and was in his 13th year as a professional boxer. During that time, McCoy had fought in every division from flyweight to heavyweight, having mixed success. He had a reputation of being a pretty skilled boxer with a decent punch who could handle a beating. In his previous fight, he had put up a spirited performance against Billy Conn. Despite this, he was thought of as just cannon fodder for Joe Louis, the champion, and the odds on the fight reflected this. $13,334 fans packed into the Boston Garden to watch the fight, more so to catch a glimpse of the Brown Bomber than the expectation of a competitive fight. Most people expected McCoy to crumple from the first punch that Louis threw. They were surprised by what they actually saw. When the bell rang for the start of the first round, McCoy came out of his corner, bobbing and weaving from a crouched position. At times, he was crouched over so low that his head was below the champion's trunks. The fight appeared to be following expectations when Lewis floored McCoy in the first round with a right to the jaw. Surprisingly, the challenger was back on his feet by the count of 1 and fought back. Somebody had forgot to show the script to McCoy. Despite the first round knockdown, McCoy showed himself to be an elusive target, bobbing and weaving from his crouch. He constantly made Lewis swing and miss with his fight-ending right. Most of Lewis's success in the fight came from his powerful left jab, whose effects were evident on McCoy's face as his left eye began to swell from the second round onwards. In the fourth round, McCoy started to come on, hammering Lewis with a left and right to the head. Mike Rim in the building, the Bum of the Month tour. Today, Mike, we're in the first fight, Joe Louis versus Al McCoy from the Boston Garden, Boston, Massachusetts. December 1940 to May 1941, that 6-month span, Joe Louis fought 6 different opponents. And nobody expected them to give Joe much of a fight, but some of them went 12, 13 rounds with the Brown Bomber. So yeah, surprisingly, Al McCoy, first fight on the Bum of the Month tour, December 1940. In the 5th round, despite a completely closed left eye brought about by Lewis's incessant left jab, McCoy attacked the champion, driving a right into Lewis's face. Angrily, Lewis backed McCoy against the ropes. And when the bell rang for the end of the round, the crowd was in full voice, screaming encouragement to the now confident challenger. Unexpectedly, there actually appeared to be a competitive fight occurring. When the bell rang for the start of the 6th round, Lewis arose from his stool. McCoy did not. Despite McCoy's willingness to continue, McCoy's trainer, Ray Arcel, summoned referee Johnny Martin over and informed him that he was stopping the fight due to the severe conditions of McCoy's badly swollen left eye. When this situation was announced to the crowd, the garden erupted into a storm of jeers. It was of the opinion of many in attendance that without the eye injury, McCoy would have lasted at least 10 rounds. Regardless, Lewis won the fight and was still a champion. It was noted by many that at times, Lewis had been made to look ludicrous, as he generally appeared baffled on how to solve his opponent's crouching style. Okay. Next up for Lewis was Clarence Red Berman of Baltimore, Maryland. Berman had a record of 71 wins, 16 losses, with only 3 of those losses by knockout. Berman was a protege of Jack Dempsey. His specialty was body punching. While he hadn't fought the most outstanding opponents, he had beaten Tommy Farr 2 years earlier. Prior to this fight, he had also taken on an impressive decision over Tony Musto in a wild fight that has featured both fighters visiting the canvas. Due to Lewis's difficulty in handling McCoy, Berman was extensively drilled in the art of fighting from the crouch. The odds on the fight were so skewed in favor of Lewis that almost no betting took place. The fight took place on January 31st, 1941, at Madison Square Garden, New York City. 18,061 fans were in attendance. And just as in the McCoy fight, the first fight of the tour, the fans were treated to an entertaining battle. Berman had come to fight. As the bell rang for round one, Berman charged across the ring, sprung out of his crouch, and caught the unaware, flat-footed champion with a left hook to the face. Almost instantly, blood appeared over Lewis's right eye. Infuriated, Lewis launched his assault. Stalking Berman, he pummeled him around the ring with lefts and rights to the head. Berman started the second round with another left hook, this time to the body, causing Lewis to back up against the ropes. For the remainder of the round, Berman crowded the champion, forcing the fight. In the third round, Berman looked like a champion. Again, he opened the round with the left hook. This time, two of them, one to the body and one to the head. Working past the champion's left jab, he waded in and managed to back Lewis into a corner. In an attempt to fend off the challenger, Lewis missed Wally with a left hook, the momentum of which caused Lewis to lose his balance and stumble through the ropes. If not for the middle strand, Joe would have sailed clean out of the ring. Many in attendance thought that a punch from Berman had caused the stumble, and they roared on the challenger in anticipation of an upset. Encouraged by the crowd, the challenger charged at the champion, only to be met by a volley of lefts and rights. Undeterred, Berman continued to come forward, but was constantly fended off by rapid blows to the head. By the fifth round, Lewis had seized control of the fight. The gallant Berman was still pushing forward, trying to force the action, only to be met by a barrage of punches. The end of the fight came suddenly for Berman. Towards the end of the fifth round, Lewis worked the challenger into a corner and slammed home a body punch that caused Berman to double over. Bravely, Berman rushed forward at the champion. Joe unleashed another punch to the body that caused the challenger to gasp for air, and immediately, Joe followed it up with yet another crushing body blow. Berman went down like he had been shot. Referee Frank Fulham counted out the game Berman as he lay motionless on the canvas. After the 10 count, the challenger was carried back to his corner and smelling salts were required to revive him. In his dressing room after the fight, Lewis referred to Berman as a pretty tough guy and told reporters that the final body shot was one of the hardest punches that he had ever landed. In February of that year, Gus D'Orazio of Philadelphia was invited to join the club. D'Orazio had a record of 50 wins, 9 losses, with only 3 of those losses by knockout. He had lost to the likes of Billy Conn and Arturo Godoy, but he had beaten Bob Pastor and the aforementioned Al McCoy in previous fights. He fought from a half crouch with a bobbing and weaving style. Just like the previous individuals on the tour, he was not expected to be much competition for the Brown Bomber. This fight was considered such a mismatch that a state senator had threatened a legislative investigation into the fight. When D'Orazio heard of this, he responded by stating that he would look for the senator during the fight and knock Lewis right into his lap. Unfortunately for D'Orazio, the senator was correct. 15,902 people showed up on February 17th, 1941 at the Convention Hall in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to witness the mismatch. True to his style, DeRazio came out in the first round in a crouched position, so low that his head almost touched the canvas. In this position, he would make Lewis miss with many of his punches, but that was about all the success he had in this fight. The first round featured a champion content with filling out his opponent, sticking out his left jab and throwing the occasional left hook. Whenever DeRazio came in close, Lewis more than matched him with his own inside fighting. This pattern continued into the first minute of the second round, when suddenly DeRazio straightened up and rushed forward at Lewis. That was all the opportunity that the Brown Bomber needed, and as quick as a flash, he unleashed a short right to the challenger's jaw. Down went DeRazio, and the fight was over at 1 minute 30 seconds of the second round. After the fight was over, Lewis was quoted as saying of his challenger, "At least he tried." That was about all that could be said of the overmatched DeRazio. March's opponent was a giant, 6'4", 255-pound Abe Simon of New York City. Abe had a record of 34 wins, 7 losses, with only one of those losses coming as a result of a knockout at the hands of fellow giant Buddy Bayer, who's going to be on the tour later. Among his opponents were Lou Nova, who he'd lost to on points, and Jersey Joe Walcott, who he'd knocked out a year previously. The common consensus of this fight was that Simon would be lucky to last 5 rounds with the champion. This view was not shared by Lewis's trainer, Jack Blackburn, who stated that, "I look for Joe to knock him out, but it ain't gonna be near as easy as a lot of folks think it is." Despite Blackburn's wise words, the odds makers made Lewis a 1-4 favorite to end the fight within 5 rounds. On March 21st, 1941, at the Olympia Stadium in Detroit, Michigan, 18,908 fans showed up to watch an entertaining fight. The experts appeared to be right on the mark when in the first round, Lewis floored Simon with a right to the jaw. Simon quickly climbed to his feet and the fight continued. By the end of the round, both fighters were trading savage body shots. In the next couple of rounds, the challenger was successful in pumping his jab into the champion's face and seemed to be getting the better of Lewis when suddenly Joe threw a right and a left to Simon's jaw. For the second time in the fight, Simon was on the canvas. He quickly assumed a kneeling position, winked at his corner, and arose when the count reached 9. The next 3 rounds were back and forth, with both fighters having their moments. Simon's primary weapon being the left jab to the face of the champion. Okay, excuse me for a moment, please. Gee. Can't get my display to move. There we go. Okay, here we go. So yeah. It was in the 7th round that Lewis showed Simon why he was the champion. 2 rights to the jaw of the challenger forced him to hold on. Lewis then pounded Simon with a left and a right to the head. which resulted in another attempt to clinch from the challenger. This time, Joe simply stepped out of the way and Simon fell to the canvas. He was on his feet immediately, only to be greeted by a series of right hands. Simon absorbed the punches well and was fighting back by the end of the round. In all, Simon was hit flush to the head at least 10 times in this round without being knocked down. His ability to absorb the Brown Bomber's best punches was earning him respect from the crowd. The next 4 rounds were relatively close, with Lewis coming forward, stalking his prey, throwing lefts and rights at the challenger's head, and Simon, for the most part, retreating behind his left jab. Generally, the champion did have the better of those rounds, but it was by no means one-way traffic. In the 12th round, Lewis almost floored Simon again with a powerful right to the jaw, but Simon, as game as they come, fought back. Near the end of the round, the challenger took another hard right to the head and went into full retreat mode with Lewis hot on his trail. It was the beginning of the end for the courageous challenger. Lewis came out in the 13th round with knockout on his mind. First, he unleashed the right hand that floored Simon for a count of 9. 5 more punches to the jaw, and Simon was down again for another count of 9. When he arose, Joe hammered him with a left hook to the jaw. The punch caused Simon to completely lose his senses, and he turned his back on the champion and stared out at the crowd with a dazed smile on his face. Lewis cocked his right arm, but instead of throwing his punch at his helpless opponent, he looked over at the referee. At that point, referee Sam Hennessy stopped the fight at 1 minute 20 seconds of the 13th round and declared Joe Lewis the winner. Okay, the Bum of the Month Tour. Next up was Tony Musto. Now, due to his short, stocky build, 5'7.5", 198 pounds, Musto was known as the Baby Tank. He had a record of 28 wins, 10 losses, with only one of those losses coming by knockout, which was actually stopped due to a nasty cut. The fight was originally scheduled to occur in Cleveland on April 2nd, 1941, but the Cleveland Boxing Commission refused the fight on the grounds that they didn't think it was a fair contest. As a result, the fight was rescheduled for April 8th, 1941 in St. Louis, Missouri instead. As was the case prior to the Simon fight, Lewis was a 1-4 favorite to knock out his opponent within 5 rounds. Musto was thought to have no chance against the champion, but he did fight from a crouch, a style that had previously been proven to give Lewis problems during the tour. As with 3 of the 4 previous fights, Musto defied the odds and gave Lewis a much tougher fight than many people had expected. From the onset of the fight, Musto came straight at Lewis, crouching so low he almost touched the canvas. The first 6 rounds of the fight were closely contested, with each fighter giving and taking punches. In the 3rd round, Musto temporarily stood up out of his crouch and was instantly decked by a left hook to the jaw. He bounced back up before Lewis could even be sent to a neutral corner, and the timekeeper hadn't even reached the count of 1. And in the resulting exchange, landed several left hooks to the head of Lewis. By the end of the round, both champion and challenger were exchanging punches. In the 5th and 6th rounds, Musto had the better of the action. particularly in the sixth, where he swarmed all over the champion, doing lefts and rights, forcing Joe to retreat. From the seventh round on, Lewis took control of the fight and methodically carved up the still crouching Musto with his left jab. The fight was eventually stopped at 1 minute 30 seconds of the ninth round. At that point, Musto was still on his feet and eager to continue, but his face had been cut to ribbons. It was obvious to everyone in attendance that Musto was a beaten man. Following the fight, referee Arthur Donovan declared that Lewis had seen better days. Many people in the boxing fraternity agreed, and soon afterwards, Lewis's manager was bombarded with requests from fight managers throughout the country, hoping to get their fighters a shot at the championship. A lot of people thought Lewis had slowed down, and everybody was trying to get a title shot at him then, because this Bum of the Month tour wasn't going like everybody thought. A lot of these fighters was going deep into fights against Lewis. He was getting them out of there, but the fights were lasting longer than people thought they would. So now everybody trying to get a shot. The next fighter to be given an opportunity at the championship was Buddy Baer, Max Baer's brother. At 6'6.5" and 237 pounds, Baer was a giant of a man. He came into the fight with a record of 50 wins, 45 by knockout, with 5 losses, with only one of those losses coming by knockout. Baer had previously knocked out contenders Tony Galento and Abe Simon. As was the case with his previous 5 opponents, Lewis was the overwhelming favorite, and there was little betting on the fight. A crowd of 35,000 fans showed up in Washington, D.C. on May 23rd, 1941 to see the fight. Again, Lewis's challenger defied expectations and provided the champion with a particularly tough fight in which Lewis was knocked out of the ring. Lewis bled, and at times, Lewis was forced to hold on to the challenger. Arnie Boxing in the building. Salute Arnie Boxing. Taking a look at Joe Lewis's Bum of the Month tour today, Arnie. We're down to the 6th fight, Buddy Baer. And this tour didn't go quite as easy as Joe Louis thought it was. And by the end of the tour, a whole bunch of fighters was trying to get a fight with him because they thought they had lost some steps. So this is the final fight, Buddy Baer. Now, Lewis came out in the first and second. In the first round, and seemed to be in control of the fight, hitting Baer with lefts and rights to the head. But undeterred, Baer came forward and shocked the crowd when he landed a left hook to the champion's head that caused Lewis to fall backwards through the ropes and onto the ring apron, narrowly avoiding falling onto press roll. Lewis climbed to his knees and was back in the ring by the count of 4. Yet Baer knocked him through the ropes. Lewis hurriedly got back in. In the second round, showing no ill effects of the knockdown, Lewis took control of the fight and hammered Baer around the ring. The third round featured Lewis still generally in control of the fight, but Baer did have some success late in the round when he forced Lewis to the ropes with a barrage of rights to the head. The result of which, excuse me for a minute. Yeah, Tony Galento. You remember him, Arnie? There's a technical difficulty, but it's only going to take me a minute. And we're almost at the end of the Bum of the Month tour. Buddy Baer was the last one. Yeah, Tony Galento was, he was the boxer. He wouldn't take showers for like weeks before the fight to keep his opponent from clinching him. Tony did. He was quite a character. Jack Dempsey was managing him, and Tony was in the ring looking all unkempt and doing nothing Dempsey was coaching him to do. So Dempsey got pissed off, and Dempsey was in there dressed up in a tailor-made suit, and Dempsey stripped down to his pants on and got in there. He got so pissed off at Rigoletto and beat him up. And Jack had talked Ray Arcel into managing him, coach training him, right? And after Dempsey beat him up, Ray Arcel said, "That's it for me too. I want nothing else to do with this bum." Yeah. But back to Buddy Bear. We're finishing off the tour. We're going to move on to something else good, okay? Back to Buddy. This is the last fight on the tour. Buddy Bear, Mac's brother. Jethro from the Beverly Hillbillies' uncle. Max Bear was Jethro's father, Max Bear Sr. You know, that was Jethro. Okay, here we go. Buddy Bear. Final fight of the tour. Yeah, Buddy was doing okay. And like I was saying, this tour didn't go as easy as Joe Louis and his team thought it was. And after the tour, a lot of fighters was trying to get fights with Joe Louis. They thought he had slowed down some. Okay, so yeah. But he still had a few more years in that historic title reign he had. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Joe Louis and Max Smelling. A nice article. Okay, Buddy Bear. I'm back to where we at. And 35,000 people came out for this fight. Washington, D.C. Yep. So Joe seemed to have control, showed no ill effects of the knockdown. And in the second round, it looked like he had got control of the fight. In the fifth round, Bear fought inspired. Louis began the round by hammering the challenger to the head with two left hooks that he took without flinching. Bear's response was to return the favor, which resulted in blood starting to appear around Joe Louis's left eye. Inspired by the sight of blood on Louis, Bear came forward and slammed several punches to Louis's head that forced the champion to clinch. Louis appeared to be in serious trouble. Suddenly, like a switch had gone on in Louis's head, he came forward and hammered Bear's head repeatedly with a series of lefts and rights. Bear's balance seemed to waver, but he managed to remain upright. Okay, Bear didn't go down. Louis was hammering him, but somehow Bear remained upright. Okay, yeah. There's Louis hammering him, but he didn't go down. But he was a big guy, too. Now, Louis came out in the sixth with blood on his mind and rocked Bear with a series of lefts and rights. Bear started to trade punches when, boom, Louis landed a right to Bear's head that floored Bear for a count of 7. Never one to let a wounded opponent off the hook, Joe Louis stalked his challenger and let loose with a left and right to Bear's head that sent them crashing to the canvas again. The fight appeared to be over. Somehow Bear managed to clamber back to his feet again by the count of 9. By now, the crowd was in a frenzy, and the noise was deafening. Louis came forward to finish off the challenger. It was about this time that the bell rang to end the round. Nobody appeared to hear the bell, least of all Louis, who unleashed a right clearly after the bell that almost decapitated Bear. Bear's seconds ran into the ring and dragged their down fighter to his corner. Now, during the minute break in between rounds, they worked on Buddy furiously. And by the time the 7th round was due to start, it was obvious that Buddy had not recovered from the beating that he had taken in the previous round. Okay? Had not recovered. So when the bell rang to start the 7th round, Ansel Hoffman, Buddy Bear's manager, stood in front of his fighter, who remained seated on a stool. Referee Arthur Donovan waved Hoffman away and told him to get out of the ring. Hoffman refused, claiming that Bear had been fouled, insisting that the last punch had clearly occurred after the bell. Again, Donovan ordered Hoffman to leave the ring. Again, Hoffman refused. So Donovan disqualified Baer and announced Lewis the winner of the fight on a technicality. There was no outreach from the fans, only applause. They realized that the better fighter had won the fight, but he did land that last punch after the bell, but he had pummeled Baer leading up to that. Now, due to an appeal by Hoffman, Baer's manager, the District of Columbia Boxing Commission launched an investigation to examine the ending of the fight. It was determined that the final punch had clearly been delivered several seconds after the round was over, after the bell rang. Unfortunately for Baer, they were unable to reverse the decision due to a commission rule that stated that a referee's decision once given cannot be changed. So why did they even do the investigation? If they knew when Hoffman, Baer's manager, lodged their complaint, the decision couldn't be overturned, why did they even do the investigation? Why didn't they just say that at the beginning? Right? That's crazy. So that was the end of the tour. Buddy Baer, 6 fights. End of the Bum of the Month tour. Now, yes, Billy Conn was next in line, and yes, it was scheduled for the very next month, but Conn wasn't expected to be a pushover, and Conn was never considered a bum. This Billy Conn, yeah, he was next, but this was, remember at the beginning of the tour, they said they was going to have a legitimate opponent at the end. So let's look at the question that was posed at the start of the conversation. Has history been fair to these fighters? One thing that was obvious to many was that, although only 27 years old, this was not the same Joe Louis of a few years earlier. He could be made to miss wildly, and he was also vulnerable to being cut. No longer did Louis have his lightning speed that had made him the destroyer of the past. He was now more like a heavy bomber, slower but still extremely destructive if he was able to release his payload on target. It has been shown that despite Louis being an overwhelming favorite for all of these fights, 5 of the 6 men had extended the champion further than most people had expected them to. None of the challengers had been expected to hear the bell for the end of round 5, yet 4 of these so-called bums had achieved that feat. A couple of them went up into 12 and 13. So were these fighters bums? Anyone who could last more than a few rounds with a fighter of Joe Louis's caliber at that time should never be considered a bum by anybody. And to finish off the talk, it's fitting to end it the way we started it, with the wise words of legendary trainer Angelo Dundee. The words of legendary trainer Angelo Dundee. I resent that, because if the kid's a fighter, he can't be a bum. You gotta be a special individual to be a fighter. I blow my stack when I hear that, because it's one-on-one. Anything can happen. Any bum can get lucky. There is no bum of the month. The legendary Angelo Dundee. All right. So next is, I got this thing on Joe Louis and Max Mellon. And the question is, well, Joe Louis and Max Mellon were 2 of a kind. But here's the question. Now, Joe Louis and Max Mellon fought in 1936. Joe Louis came into the fight as the number 1 contender. Max Mellon came in as the number 2 contender. Max Mellon beat Joe Louis, so the roles reversed. Max Mellon became number 1 contender. Joe Louis became the number 2 contender. So why did Joe Louis get to fight Jim Braddock for the title rather than Smelling? When Smelling hadn't lost since he beat Joe Louis, and he didn't lose again until he fought Joe Louis in a rematch. So why did Joe Louis get the title shot instead of Smelling when Smelling had beat Joe Louis and was the number 1 contender? Glad y'all asked. Let's talk about it. Okay. Now, Joe Louis got to fight James J. Braddock instead of number 1 contender Max Mellon because Louis and his team bought the title shot, literally bought it, and politics allowed them to do it. It was and remains the most disgraceful sale of the heavyweight title in history. Okay, yeah, they bought it. 3 facts about how Joe Louis got the heavyweight title are beyond dispute. Number 1, Joe Louis and his team bribed his way to a title shot, denying the rightful number 1 contender his shot at the title, who had not only beat Joe Louis, had knocked him out, Max Schmeling. Number 2, politics. The fact Schmeling was German and the world was teetering towards World War II got Louis's team the political cover needed to buy the title and cheat the rightful contender Schmeling. Number 3, despite the American media lying, Max Schmeling was not a Nazi. Max Schmeling had beaten up and knocked Joe Louis out to become the number 1 contender. In 1936, with the backdrop of Nazi Germany and Hitler, the number 2 ranked contender and former heavyweight champion, German Max Schmeling, stunned the world and beat number 1 contender and rising superstar, Joe Louis. Louis was a 10-1 favorite to beat the former champion, Schmeling, but Max Schmeling, one of the first fighters to use film to study his opponents, had noticed Joe Louis curved his left low and dropped it even lower after jabbing, leaving him open to counters. Schmeling countered with hard rights the entire fight, finally stopping the Brown Bomber in the 12th round. Schmeling's preparations were perfect, and his tactical dissection of Louis made the task at hand, defeating the undefeated Louis, surprisingly easy. It is Louis on the mat. Schmeling made it look surprisingly easy. Okay? And after that, Schmeling was denied his rightful title shot from 1936 to 1938. He didn't get it until Joe Louis got the title and fought him in 1938, 2 years later. Now the number 1 contender, Max Schmeling, was entitled to a title shot within 6 months, with James J. Braddock gaining the title, but not having defended it. And the only way Braddock couldn't defend it against Schmeling, Braddock had to file for an extension, which he didn't. But Braddock declined to defend the title against the number 1 contender Schmeling or anyone else for 2 years after he won the title. The various injuries were claimed as the reason for not defending the title. But Braddock stayed deliberately out of the ring for 2 years while he toured the country and milked every penny out of the title he could by personal appearances and exhibitions before he would be forced to defend the title and lose it. He claimed injuries why he couldn't defend the title, but he was traveling around the country doing exhibitions against amateur fighters. Okay? Now, promoters tried for 2 years to make the Braddock versus Schmeling fight. Only Braddock and his team deliberately avoided defending the title for 2 years. Now, why did they avoid defending it? Why? Braddock was no fool. Okay? He believed he could not win against Schmeling or any other top contender. And Braddock needed to milk the title for all he could while he had it. Braddock did not fear losing. He feared losing the economic security the title had suddenly given him and his family. Braddock used to be so poor, he had to take handouts for food during the Great Depression. And his manager, Joe Gold, who was a real slimeball, sought to make the most possible money out of the title while they had it. Braddock made a lot more money doing exhibitions against amateurs at county fairs and in speaking engagement than he was being offered to defend it in fights against the top opponents, which he was sure to lose to. Finally, the National Boxing Association, or the NBA, had had enough and ordered Braddock to defend the title against the number one contender, Max Schmeling. But Joe Louis and his team swooped in and used politics and money to take Schmeling's rightful title shot away. Joe Louis and his team bought the title shot and the title because they beat James J. Braddock. In 1936, the National Boxing Association, NBA, ordered world champion James J. Braddock to defend against number one contender Max Schmeling, number one mandatory contender Max Schmeling, who had just beaten Joe Louis and taken his status as the number one contender, 1936. So finally, after Braddock had won it in 34, so finally after 2 years, Braddock signed a contract to defend the title against Max Schmeling. He did sign the contract, but Schmeling never got his title shot. The man he knocked out, Joe Louis, and his team bought the title shot, paying and bribing Braddock to break the contract with Schmeling. The NBA didn't let it go under incredible political pressure. So despite only being the number two contender, and despite having been beaten by the number one contender, Joe Louis got the mandatory 1937 title shot instead of Max Schmeling by buying it. Okay? Joe Louis got the shot by buying it. That should have been Max Schmeling and James J. Braddock on that poster. But Joe Louis bought it. Okay? So, I've been talking about Joe Louis bought the title. Exactly how did he do it? How did he buy the title? Okay, let's talk about that. How did he buy it? Joe Louis' promoter, Mike Jacobs, paid Braddock to fight Joe Louis instead of Schmeling. Jacobs guaranteed Braddock a purse of $320,000, more than he had earned all together over his entire 14-year career. And he threw in 10% of Joe Louis's net profits over the next 10 years. Okay? 10% of Joe Louis's profits went to Braddock over the next 10 years. That's what Joe Louis and his team offered Braddock if he would fight Joe Louis instead of Max Schmeling. Yeah, for every single fight from then on for the next 10 years, which came out to be 24 fights, Joe Louis's next 24 fights, Braddock collected 10% of Joe Louis's profits. His next 10 fights, right? 24 fights over the next 10 years. 4 of those years, Joe Louis didn't fight because of the war. But in that 10 years, it balanced out to 24 fights. James J. Braddock did nothing, but still got paid 10% of Joe Louis's profits, okay? Just so they could block Schmeling and fight Braddock. And any other activities Joe Louis participated in that generated promotional profits. Braddock got 10% of that too. So Schmeling's contract with Braddock was ignored, and Joe Louis's team bought the title shot with Braddock, despite Joe Louis not being the number one contender. Joe Louis having lost to the number one contender, Schmeling. Despite Joe Louis having been knocked out by Schmeling. And despite the NBA, the sanctioning body, ordering Braddock to defend against Schmeling or be stripped of the title. And Schmeling having a signed contract with Braddock to fight for the title. Now, Braddock did originally deny Joe Louis and his team, told him no, he was going to fight Schmeling. Originally denied to get out of the contract. But Joe Louis's team, that's when they sweetened the pot. First, they had offered him the purse of $320,000, which was more than Braddock had earned throughout his entire career put together. And $320,000 was huge. Nowadays, that's equivalent to almost $7 million. $320,000 back then is equivalent to $7 million today, okay? But they sweetened the pot by, that's when they bought the 10% of Joe Louis's profit for the next 10 years, right? That's what they sweetened the pot with. And after that, Braddock said, yes, forget Max Smelling. Now, Smelling likely would have beaten Braddock and become the first man to regain the heavyweight title, okay, if he would have got his opportunity, which ended up being Floyd Patterson. But Braddock would have been the first man to regain the title. If Smelling would have been the first man to lose the title and regain it, if Braddock would have gave him his shot like he deserved, not Floyd Patterson. No more blatant example of selling the title in boxing history exists than this one, in any division, not just heavyweight, any division. And check this out. Now check this part out. Okay? True story. I'm going to explain it to you. Joe Louis also waited deliberately for Smelling to get old before finally rematching. He ducked Smelling. I'm going to prove it right now. After Louis stole the title by paying off Braddock and then beating Braddock, Louis proclaimed after the Braddock fight, "I ain't no champion until I beat Smelling." That was just talk. Despite the loud claims by Louis that he would never feel like the champion until he defeated Smelling, Louis delayed Smelling's mandatory title shot another year, making 3 other title defenses first, while Smelling, 8 years older than Louis, got older still. So now, if he wanted to fight Smelling so bad, if he didn't feel like the champion until he fought Smelling, blah, 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 why did he wait years and fight 3 other people first? That sounds like a duck to me. Joe Louis claimed he didn't feel like champion until he beat Smelling. He wanted to get back so bad, but he waited over a year and fought 3 other people first. That don't sound like somebody that wanted to get this man in the ring so bad and get his get back to me. That sounds like somebody ducking this man. Because Smelling was the only one that beat him in his prime, and he not only beat him, he knocked him out cold. Okay? So yeah, he ducked Smelling. And Joe Louis's third opponent after winning the title, while denying Smelling the number 1 contender, his ordered title shot, Smelling was also his mandatory, was completely unranked, Harry Thomas. Thomas not only was unranked, but had 11 losses, including one to the number 1 contender that Louis was ducking, Max Smelling. And in addition, the only reason the fight between Louis and Smelling took place over a year later was the National Boxing Association and the commission were insisting that Louis could not bypass the number 1 contender any longer or they would strip him. He was made to fight Smelling. It wasn't about, I don't want to be called champion until I beat Smelling. He waited a year and fought 3 other people. That does not sound like somebody trying to get back in the ring and get revenge from this man. Wouldn't that be your very next fight? So yeah, Joe Louis was ducking Max Smelling. Okay? That thing, I don't want to be called champion until I beat Smelling, that was just talk. Because he waited over a year and fought 3 other people first. Now, if you did what's so bad about wanted to get your get back, Smelling would have been his next fight. And then they had to threaten to strip him for him to finally get in there with Smelling. Had to threaten to strip him. So yeah, he was ducking Max Smelling. Joe Louis. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the NBA and the commission came to Joe Louis and said, you cannot avoid the number 1 contender any longer. If you don't fight him next, we're going to strip you. The same number 1 contender who had beaten him and knocked him out, and the same one he bribed the champion, James J. Braddock, to bypass. Nasty work, man, nasty work. When Joe Louis was finally forced to fight Smelling, he won the rematch easily. Now, how much of that was due to Smelling being forced to wait for years will never be known. What would have happened if he would have got right back in there with Smelling once he won the title? But he waited years and he fought 3 other people first. Joe Louis, the man that didn't want to be called champion until he beat Smelling, the man that wanted this get back so bad, fought 3 other people first. And so then, and the press, the American media was kept lying about Smelly. They assisted Joe Louis in getting brought up to bypass Smelly because they kept saying Smelly was a Nazi, and if Hitler get the title back over there in Europe, and America would never be it for decades. Yeah, the American media lied. Let's talk about that. Smelly was not only not a Nazi, he was as defiant as one could be without being shot. Okay? Max was painted as a Nazi during the pre-World War II era, especially by the American media. And the media outdid itself during the period around and after the Louis Smelling fights, both fights. A hint that Max Smelling was a different type of human being came in 1928 when he hired Joe Jacobs, who was Jewish, to be his manager. And despite the best efforts of the Nazis to make him fire Jacobs, he stayed with Jacobs through thick and thin. Hitler himself sent word for Smelling to fire his manager, Joe Jacobs, who was Jewish. Smelling refused, and that refusal would cost him dearly half a decade later. We're going to get to that. And Smelling actually wrote a letter back to Hitler, refusing the order, saying, I received this letter from the Reich Ministry of Sports in Germany. They want me to split from Joe Jacobs, my manager, since 1928 because he is Jewish. I really need Joe Jacobs. I owe all my success in America to him, and I'm not going to fire him. And he didn't. Despite the order, Jacobs, a proud Jew, remained Max Smelling's manager and friend until Jacobs' death in 1939. The Max Smelling's anti-Nazi beliefs and true character were proven during Kristallnacht. And what that was is in November 1939, the Germans was going through the streets, burning Jewish homes, destroying Jewish homes and businesses, and killing Jewish citizens, and or rounding them up, putting them in concentration camps. That was called the Kristallnacht. That happened in November 1939. And Max Smelling's anti-Nazi beliefs and true character was proven during this period when that happened. As noted, Smelling was never a Nazi and proved who and what he really was during the night of the broken glass, or the Kristallnacht, right? Same thing. That was in November 1938, 1938, not 39, 1938. Professor Robert Weisbord had heard stories about Max Smelling being a Nazi, but was determined to find out the truth on his own. Was he the Nazi supporter the American media portrayed him as during the 1930s, or were these stories about his heroic acts true? Professor Weisbord said in a remarkable article published in a publication called England's History Today, little did I dream that this guy, whose reputation was that of a Nazi, had done something so remarkably courageous. Okay? Smelling's true courage against the Nazis was shown during the night of broken glass. That's the same thing when they was going around destroying Jewish homes and businesses, killing Jewish citizens, or rounding them up, putting them in concentration camps. The Kristallnacht, or the night of the broken glass, November 1938. Okay. A man who had once owned a hotel Max stayed at and had been friendly with Max was in Berlin and was Jewish during this time when this Kristallnacht was going on, right? And the Jews were being killed and beaten, and the homes and businesses destroyed. He told his 2 young sons to go to the hotel where Max Smelling stayed with his wife and find him. And he told them to tell Max that his friend begged him to save his sons. For the next 4 nights, as the city burned and Jewish homes and businesses were destroyed, and Jewish citizens were killed or rounded up and sent to concentration camps, Max Schmeling and his wife hid the 2 children in their hotel suite. When the Gestapo, the Nazi police, came room to room searching for hidden Jewish citizens, Max barred their way into his suite asking, "Don't you know who I am?" Bruce Gas, boxing, jazz, and more in the building. What's up, Bruce Gas? We just talking about Max Schmeling right now. Well, Max Schmeling and Joe Louis, but salute Bruce Gas. Okay, let's continue. Great channel too, Bruce Gas. Y'all know about Bruce Gas, boxing, jazz, and more. Salute. Okay, so yeah, the Gestapo they were searching for the Jewish citizens, right? And they tried to get into Max's hotel suite, and Max blocked their way. And Max said, don't you know who I am?" Now, of course, as Max's wife noted with amazement later, if any of the Gestapo had checked, Max was not only not a member of the Nazi Party, but in addition was hated by Hitler and his cronies. Max had bluffed the most vicious members of the Gestapo, facing their guns with nothing but courage. The 2 little boys hiding in the Schmeling's bedroom heard the shouting and remembered every detail for the rest of their lives. Then when it was possible to smuggle the boys Henry and Werner Lewin back to their father, who had hidden and also survived, Max did so, and he helped the family get out of Germany safely. Now, Max never wanted his kindness and heroism to be known publicly, okay? He told the man, the father of the sons, to never tell anybody about this, because he didn't want the public to know about this. Not because of any fear of the Gestapo or nothing, he just didn't, he was modest, he didn't want their attention. After the Joe Louis rematch, Schmeling was completely shunned by the Nazis, who tried to kill him during World War II. The Schmeling had survived under Hitler by being an extremely popular athlete and a very successful one. Even after his defeat to Joe Louis, Schmeling won both the German and European heavyweight championships on July 2nd, 1939, with a first-round knockout of Adolf Hitler. And the reason Hitler and them didn't kill him because the German people loved Max Schmeling and they didn't want to put the public into an uproar by killing this famous athlete. So that's what saved Max Schmeling. But when World War II broke out, the Nazi Party had its chance to pay Schmeling back before causing public anger. What they did with fighting underway, Max, despite being 35 years old at that time, was drafted immediately, despite his age, exempted him from military service at the time. Then he was signed to the elite group of paratroopers, okay? This despite the fact Max was 9 years older than the age limit for the paratroopers, almost a decade over the age limit for the paratroopers that they are set to recruits for. The Nazi Party ordered him drafted, and they ordered the paratroopers to accept him, even though he was almost 10 years past the age where they normally accepted recruits, okay? That was their revenge for him not firing his Jewish manager and getting beat by Joe Louis. They finally got their revenge. And then the Nazi Party also ordered Schmeling sent immediately after training to combat on the front lines, okay, on the front lines. Nonetheless, despite being wounded, Schmeling survived the war and came home to a ruined Berlin, completely destitute, to find his wife literally starving, okay, literally starving his wife when he got back home. After the war, he survived it. Hitler and the Nazis thought he was going to get killed, but they sent him to this elite unit on the front lines, but he survived. He did get wounded, but he survived. After the war, in a story you cannot make up, Max saved Joe Louis from homelessness, okay? Saved Joe Louis from homelessness. Yes, he did. Okay, let's talk about that. How he saved Joe Louis from homelessness. After World War II, the crippled Max Smelling, he got crippled during the war, whose knee was disabled from shrapnel wounds. He fought 5 fights, and he retired again with enough money to invest in a new business, which had come to Germany. In return for a small investment and his willingness to serve as a German spokesman for Coca-Cola, he was allowed to buy an interest in his own bottling plant and held an executive position within the company. And eventually, Max owned an entire plant himself and worked his way up the company ladder as well. Once penniless and hungry, Max and his wife was now wealthy. But Max had read about the troubles of his old rival Joe Louis was having with his taxes in the United States. So off Max went to America to visit Joe and to see if he could help his old rival. In a story you could not invent, Max became friends with Joe Louis and assisted his former rival financially from then on, repeatedly helping him avoid homelessness and poverty. The only thing Max asked of his friend was that Joe not tell anyone what he was doing. Max didn't want the publicity, and the once bitter rivals became dear friends, became like brothers. When Joe Louis died, his family was unable to pay for his funeral. Very quietly, Max Smelling paid for Joe's funeral in 1981 and was also a pallbearer. Knowing that his widow was destitute, Max asked an old friend to take her a large sum of cash to make sure she was comfortable. He didn't want to do it himself because the press was probably watching. So he got an old friend to take Joe Louis's wife a large sum of money. And guess who the old friend was? Henry Lewin, one of the Jewish children Max had saved back in the 1930s. And one of that kid had grown up and had moved to the United States and was quite successful in his own right. Him and his brother, the other brother that Max had saved, had kept in touch with Max. And he was the intermediary Max chose to carry the money to Joe Louis's widow. And he told Henry to keep it a secret. Max quietly made sure Joe Louis's widow was comfortable for the remainder of her life. Okay? Technique in the building. What's up, Technique? Talking about Max Smelling and Joe Louis. Running down on this. Yeah. He, after Joe Louis died, he paid for Joe Louis' funeral, was a pallbearer, and he made sure Joe Louis's wife was okay for the rest of her life. And he recruited one of the kids that had grown up that he had saved from the Nazis way back in the 30s to take her the money. And Max never wanted any of his kindness and heroism known to the public. Max's heroism in protecting the 2 Jewish children so long ago, or in helping Joe Louis, would never have been known at all, except Henry Lewin, one of the 2 kids he saved when he grew up, insisted on people knowing who Max Smelling really was. In 1989, Henry, now the president of the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada, threw a party for his old friend Max Smelling, and for the first time told the world what kind of man Max Smelling really was. Henry said, "I'm going to tell you what kind of champion Max Smelling really is. Beginning on November 9th, 1938, for 4 days, Max Smelling and his wife hid my brother and me in his Berlin apartment. That was the night known now as the Crystal Night, when the Gestapo began picking up all Jewish citizens off the streets. Max Smelling risked everything he had for us. If we had been found in his apartment, I would not be here this evening, and neither would Max." Then Henry went on to tell some of the story about Max and Joe Louis. Max had asked Henry not to tell his story, but Henry wanted people to know. The old fighter sat there with tears running down his face as Henry remembered how Smelling and his wife, dressed in their best, waiting for the Gestapo, Anna Andra, Mrs. Smelling, an actress, was determined to look her best if her and her husband were to be shot. Max Smelling, despite being denied his title shot by Joe Louis and his team, bribing James J. Braddock, and despite the American media lying about him being a Nazi, supported Joe Louis for the rest of his life once he found out Louis was in trouble. And once Louis passed away, Max supported Louis's widow. There you have it. Technique, the IRS said he owed them $500,000 from taxes, and they waited till after his career to tell him. And guess what? Joe Louis never received, the United States government did him dirty. Joe Louis never received a penny of that money. He donated it. And guess who he donated it to? The government. He donated it to the war effort and veterans groups, both which is part of the government. And then after his career, they came and said he owed them $500,000, which he didn't have. That's why he got back in the ring, because all he knew was boxing. And that was nasty work, because the money that they said he owed that taxes on, he never spent a penny of it. And he donated it to the government. And they still came back and wanted $500,000 worth of taxes, saying interest and stuff. He donated it to the war effort and the veterans group, which is who else but the government, right? So that was crazy. That was nasty work there. And that's what forced Joe Louis back in the ring. And Ezra Charles gave him a shot. That's why Rocky gave him a shot. They was trying to help him earn money to pay off their debt. Yep. So I don't think any of those guys would have fought him, especially Rocky. But yeah, they was trying to help him earn money. With $500 million on money he never spent a penny of. The government said he owed them, and he donated every penny to the government. Talk about some nasty work, man. Wow. And then Joe Louis beat in the 30s, he beat the previous 5 men that had been champions before him, okay? The first one was Primo Carnera. Let's talk about that. Primo Carnera, Max Bayer, Jack Sharkey, James J. Braddock, Max Smelling. Of course, he lost to Smelling first, but those were the previous 5 champions before Joe Louis in the 30s. He beat all of them. And his first real step-up fight was Primo Carnera, the Preem. Let's talk about that, since we got a little time. The Preem, yeah, Primo Carnera. Yeah, that was crazy irony, because let's get some link time irony. We got on the 4. I gotta go at 4 today, but yeah, we got 30 minutes. Yeah, irony, because he donated the money to the government. He did 2 exhibitions, which he never received a penny of, and he donated it to the government. And then they're gonna come back and say he owed $500,000 on it from interest. And they didn't bring it up till years later after his career. They never brought it up when he earned it, because that's how dirty the government is. He donated to them. So they couldn't bring it up right then, because they would be like, well, you got donated to y'all, why would I owe y'all taxes on it? They waited years to bring it up, man. You talk about some nasty work. Wow. And $500 million with interest and stuff. And he didn't earn anywhere near 500, $500,000 on the fights, you know? That was crazy. But that's what happened with that. And that's what forced him back in the ring. Yeah. And the part I can't get over, he donated the money. He didn't earn a penny, he donated it, and he donated it to the government, right? So why would he owe any taxes on it when the government got every penny of it? You know? They got every penny of the money. A lot of people was pissed off at him for donating it to the war, you know? But why are you doing that? But he did it because he loved his country. And look how they did it. Nasty work. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Okay, here's the link, I think. Yeah. Yeah, they screwed him bad, irony. Yeah, screwed him bad. Yeah, but then he fought the previous 5 champions that were champions before he got the title. Primo Carnera was his first really big step-up fight, and Max Baer, Jack Sharkey, James J. Braddock, and Max Smelling. He fought Max Smelling before Braddock, but he got beat the first time, right? And then in 38, he beat Smelling to get the title. No, he had the title from Braddock. Yeah. Because the first time him and Smelling fought was a non-title fight. And then when he fought Braddock, that was really supposed to be Smelling's title shot. Joe Louis and his team bought the title. They gave James J. Braddock $320-something thousand, which is equivalent to like $7 million today in 2026. And 10% of Joe Louis's purses for the next 10 years, which ended up to be 24 fights. His next 24 fights after the Braddock fight, when he won the title, 10% of his purses went to Braddock. That's crazy, man. Yeah. Let's take a look at this him and Primo, his first big fight. The Preem. We did the fight of the week on that last week, but this is a little bit more detail into leading up to the fight and all that kind of stuff. They said Primo was a mafia-backed fighter, but it was never proven or anything, Like if somebody had proof, they're gonna come forward. So yeah, I can prove the mafia is involved in this. Nah. So yeah. But nobody can definitely say Primo Carnera was involved with the mafia. Okay, let's take a look at it. Joe Louis and Primo Carnera, his first big step-up fight. The rise of Joe Louis, a technical knockout over Primo Carnera. Okay. I'll get way back down here. There we go. On June 25th, take a drink real quick. On June the 25th, 1935, the world of boxing witnessed a pivotal moment when Joe Louis, known as the Brown Bomber, faced off against the former world heavyweight champion Primo Carnera at Yankee Stadium in New York City. This fight not only showcased Louis's burgeoning talent, but also marked a significant step in his journey to becoming one of the greatest boxers in history. Now, the fighters, a contrast of styles and background. Joe Louis, a young and relatively unknown fighter at that time, entered the ring with a record of 22 wins and no losses, with 18 of those wins coming by knockout. Born in rural Alabama and raised in Detroit, Lewis represented a new wave of Black American athletes striving for greatness in an era of significant racial prejudice. Okay, Primo. There's Big Preem. The Preem, that's what they call him, the Preem. Now, Primo Carnera, on the other hand, was a seasoned veteran, standing at 6'6" tall and weighing around 260 pounds. That was the exception, not the rule back then. We got a lot of them big giants in the heavyweight division nowadays, but that was unheard of back then. The average heavyweight was between 190 and 200 pounds back then. Primo was 6'6", 260, right? The Italian giant was an imposing figure. Carnera had previously held the world heavyweight title from 1933 to 1934 and boasted a record coming into this fight with Lewis of 82 wins, 7 losses, and 1 draw, with 68 knockouts. Despite his physical advantages, Primo's career was often marred by controversies, including allegations of fixed fights by the mafia, okay, orchestrated by his management, which was the mafia. That's what they said, but never proved. Okay, the fight between the Brown Bomber and the Preem. Fight. Now, from the opening bell, it was clear that Lewis's strategy revolved around utilizing his superior speed, technique, and punching power. Carnera tried to use his size and reach to keep Lewis at bay, but Lewis's relentless aggression and precise combinations quickly began to take their toll on the bigger man. In the first round, Lewis landed several solid punches, setting the tone for the rest of the fight. His left jab was particularly effective, constantly finding its mark and disrupting Carnera's rhythm. By the second round, Lewis was already starting to assert his dominance, landing a series of powerful hooks and uppercuts that visibly hurt Carnera. Okay, the fight was a masterclass in technique and power. Okay. Okay, let's continue. As the fight progressed, Lewis's relentless assault continued. In the 6th round, Lewis delivered a devastating right hook that sent Carnera crashing to the canvas. Although Carnera managed to get back on his feet, it was evident that he was severely weakened. Lewis did not let up, and in the 6th round, he unleashed a flurry of punches that forced the referee to stop the fight, awarding Lewis a technical knockout victory. Yeah, Joe Louis was one of the best finishers in boxing history. If he got you in trouble back around that period, 30s, early 40s, it was like a shark with blood in the water. It was all but over. Okay, thing of beauty. Watching Joe Louis finish somebody back around that time. So the aftermath and legacy of this fight. First big step-up fight for Joe Louis. About a few years away from his first title. Now, Joe Louis's triumph over Primo Carnera was more than just the victory in the ring. It was a statement to the boxing world. This fight solidified Louis's reputation as a force to be reckoned with and propelled him into the spotlight. Over the next few years, Louis would go on to dominate the heavyweight division, eventually becoming a world heavyweight champion in 1937 and holding the title for an unprecedented 12 years until 1949. Okay? Here's him and Primo again. 12 years. Wow. Oh, bear with me for 1 second, please. Technical difficulty. Okay, we're back. Okay, yeah, held it for 12 years, 37 to 49. Okay, 1937 to 1949. That's 12 years. And remember, 10 of those years and 24 fights, James J. Braddock got 10% of his purses because he bought the fight when Max Schmeling was supposed to get that title shot. Joe Louis and his team swooped in and bought the title shot, and Max Schmeling didn't get it. They gave James J. Braddock $337,000, which is equivalent to $7 million today. That was more than Braddock had made altogether his entire 14 career. And first, Braddock said no, he wasn't going to do it. He was going to go ahead and fight Schmeling to sweeten the pot. That's when they threw in the 10% of Lewis's purses for the next 10 years, which came out to be 24 fights. Joe Louis's next 24 fights after he beat Braddock, Braddock got 10% of all of his purses, right? Crazy. What's up, BBO? Salute. We talked about the Brown Bomber. Wasn't that something, BBO? When they stole that fight from James J. Braddock, they gave him $300,000, which equal to $7 million today. Braddock, more than he had earned altogether his career. And Braddock said no at first, so they sweetened the pot. They gave him 10% of Joe Louis's purses for the next 10 years. Turned out to be his next 24 fights. Braddock got 10% of his purses. That's crazy. Yeah. Right. Legalized robbery. And it didn't help Schmeling that he was German and the American media was lying on him, talking about he was a Nazi and stuff. And Schmeling was never a Nazi. He had a Jewish manager. How could he be a Nazi? Joe Jacobs, his manager, was Jewish. And Hitler himself sent orders for Schmeling to fire Joe Jacobs because he was Jewish. And Schmeling sent Hitler a letter back and said no, he wasn't doing it. And Joe Jacobs stayed as manager until Joe Jacobs died in 1939. That's why when the war started, they sent Schmeling to the front lines. That was his punishment. Because they couldn't do nothing to him, kill him, because he was very popular in Germany. And the public would have went in an uproar against Hitler if they would have did something to Schmeling. But they got him back when that war started. Sent them to the front lines, man. Yeah. What's up, Irony? Salute.
How you doing today, sir?
All right. Pretty good. How was the weekend?
Oh, pretty good. Can't complain too much.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, Max Schmeling, bro, like that is something that you remember I told you, I think the last conversation we had, how I, trained in chess and all of that. And
I remember that.
This guy world champion Anatoly Karpov had the same thing with the Soviet Union. He couldn't be more against them, but he had to play the game, bro. You have to walk the line. I mean,
that's right.
At that point, exactly. Like when people try to hold Rocky Marciano to hold against Rocky Marciano the fact that he had ties with the mafia, as if you can just say no to them,
If you wanted title shots and stuff at that time, you had to. Everybody did.
Not only a title shot, if you damn near if you want to breathe. Yeah.
And and the mob had their managers managing everybody, right? You had they picked your managers and stuff for you.
Exactly.
And Rocky's manager was stealing his money and stuff too for a long time during his career. So you couldn't blame the fighters back then. Yeah. You couldn't blame the fighters. They did what they had to do,
Absolutely. I mean, it's like, the same thing, not even, today is, let me put it to you this way. I tell people this, picture this, going up against the mafia in those days is like going up against the cartel today. I'm serious. No win situation. They have people everywhere. Like, there's no way, nah, bro. You
got to worry about your family and stuff too.
That's how they get.
They go after your family, that's what really hurts you. They might let you live and kill one of your family members or something.
Exactly. And I mean, it's like choose your fate, bro. Like,
right.
But yeah, I mean, Max Schmeling is one of the greatest gentlemen ever. Like he and Joe Louis got really, really friends.
Yeah,
How
they
do you
did.
say? Like, yeah.
Yeah, he gave him money and everything. Joe
No,
Louis, and when Joe Louis died, he took care of his wife.
there you
Max
go.
Schmeling did. Yeah.
Now, I
Paid
didn't
for
know
it.
he had a Jewish manager. I appreciate you saying
Yeah,
that.
Joe Jacobs. And Hitler sent orders personally for him to fire him. And Max wouldn't do it.
Nope.
He sent Hitler a letter back.
That's a real man, right?
And he didn't do it. Joe Jacobs stayed as manager until Joe Jacobs passed away in 1939. He was still Schmeling's manager at the time. Yeah, he didn't do it. That's why when the war started, they put him in this unit that you had. He was 10 years past the age requirement for that unit, but Hitler forced the unit to accept him and sent him to the front lines. But he survived it. He survived. He got wounded, but he survived it. Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
When he came back, he said his wife was starving. Yeah.
Wow.
And the Nazis probably had something to do with that too.
Oh, for damn sure.
Probably kept her from work and everything. Yeah. They really got her. But he ended up being rich. He owned a Coca-Cola plant over there. Yeah.
In Germany?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, after they got rid of that whole nonsense,
Yeah. After the war and everything, the Nazis were out.
I mean, we're talking about a group. Let me just call them a group of people, right? Because Hitler wasn't even German; he was Austrian. But let me just that group of people, bro. They took over like Europe in like a month, and you think you're gonna go up against them?
No. The only thing saved Schmeling when he wouldn't fire his manager, he was so popular. So the Nazis didn't want to do nothing to him because the public would have went in an uproar, and they didn't want to lose the public because Hitler had a lot of power over there. So, but the way they got him, they sent him to that war, and put him in that unit on the front lines. They thought he was going to get killed. But Max came. He did get wounded. He was crippled for the rest of his life. But he fought again when he came back too. Nothing high level. He fought like 5 fights. But his knee was messed up. Yeah.
Because you're too much of a coward to get in a room with him, so just send him to die, right? Wow.
Yeah, that's what they did. And the unit was he's almost 10 years past age requirement. They forced the unit to accept him.
Who's gonna say no to him?
The paratroopers. You got this man up in his 30s in the paratroopers.
And God knows how many injuries too. Like, godly.
Yeah.
Didn't Hitler say that he was gonna shake this guy Owens, his name, the sprinter, the runner?
Jesse Owens.
Yeah.
Jesse
Didn't he
Owens,
say that he was gonna shake his hand and then he didn't shake his hand or something like that? You heard about that?
That story.
Okay. I'll look it up.
Details about it, yeah, but I can't even remember exactly how it went.
My father told me that one.
Yeah, they were in Germany that year when Jesse Owens won those 4 medals. Remember?
Right, exactly.
I can't remember exactly how it went though. Yeah,
he did it right in front of him. That's good enough for me.
And that was the same year Max Schmeling beat Joe Louis. Remember?
Yeah, wow. Yeah. Unbelievable. How you doing, brother? Talk to me. How you doing? How you been?
Yeah, I've been doing okay.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. No, it is crazy, bro. And boxing's, bro, I'm telling you, boxing is.
We got a big one this weekend. What you got on that one? Isn't Andy Cruz and Muratalla this weekend?
Oh
right?
My goodness, yes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
I can't call that one.
I'm gonna tell you something. I think I'm gonna agree with you, man. Because I've had Andy Cruz forever. You know this, but. At the same time, I'm gonna watch a little more of Muratalla. I haven't seen a lot of Muratalla, but what I have seen, I mean, I talk a lot about, and it is true. I mean, I know what I saw, right? I saw a guy that waned as the fight went. You know,
the Russian guy, right?
Abdulaev, yeah.
But he won though.
He did win.
He won the fight.
Yeah, he won at least 8 rounds, so he definitely
did what he had to do, to get the victory. Yes. He did slow down toward the end, but
Well,
what he had to do.
my criticism of him is not necessarily pertaining to that fight, but pertaining to when you fight the elite guys.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yeah.
a Shakur, even a Kid Austin for that matter. You know. But we'll see, man, because he is good. I mean, he is
a big
good.
one, yeah. Him and Andy Cruz, yeah. This is a big one.
I just wonder,
Andy. But if Muratalla beats him, I would not call it an upset. At all.
Not at all. Not at all. Not at all. He deserves that much of a respect. You know, I agree. Here's my question about Andy Cruz, and it's a big one in my opinion. Is it too much too soon? Is he biting off a little bit more than he can chew?
To Muratalla?
No, Cruz.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think because he got that Cuban background, so they come in more advanced than the average amateur. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's why he came in fighting 10 rounds in his first fight. Remember?
Wow, that's right. Yeah.
So yeah. Does he have 10 fights? Not many. If he does
that's a good question.
But he got that Cuban background.
Yeah, that more than like the Eastern Europeans, they more than make up for that one.
Yeah, like the Eastern Europeans, exactly. Same thing. Yeah.
6-0, bro. He's 6-0.
Going for a title. Wow.
Unbelievable.
He's not the normal prospect. So he's not a prospect anymore. Usually that would be a prospect, 6-0, right?
Yeah, I'm glad that we see more and more quote unquote people breaking that mold of you got to get to 18-0 or whatever it is to get a title shot, because obviously Loma did it, and I think a guy did it before him that fought Floyd Patterson back in the day. I don't have
Pete Rademacher.
There it is.
His first fight was for the title.
Yes. But that was a long time ago, so it's refreshing to see Loma, and after Loma we got Andy Cruz, and I'm not for nothing, bro. I may be forgetting somebody.
Everybody can't do it. It's got to be a special fighter. Loma, Andy Cruz were all special fighters. They were normal prospects. You know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, you got to be real careful with that stuff, because you don't. If you have a good prospect that you think can become great, you might be, sending him to the wood chipper and ending his career before he gets started.
Or at least make it not as good as it would have been.
Yeah, you get like let me give you this example. Erickson Lubin, when he went up against Charlo, look at what happened. Look at that. How that worked out.
Perfect example. That's a good example right there. Yep.
Now, I'm not saying that wouldn't happen anyway. It probably would have, because Charlo was that damn good. This is the Charlo before all that whole thing, happened with the wives and the this and the that.
He was a monster then.
Oh my goodness, scary dude, bro. That's a scary dude.
Yeah. He was damn near like unbeatable around that time,
bro. Like that, and legit scary dude. Like, he looks the part.
Yeah. He had that mentality, that fighter's mentality. He had it. Both of them, both of the brothers had it. I don't know what happened to them. They just stopped fighting all of a sudden, man.
Outside the ring, BS more than anything. I think one of them has trouble with alcohol. The other has mental health issues. But not only that, I think. Excuse me. I think. Well, interesting, because.
But they in their 30s, so
Not only that, they got to the top. They got to the top.
They went to the top, and they're not spring chickens. So they made a lot of money too. So
Oh, for sure.
They accomplished some goals in the sport. Might not make it to the Hall of Fame, but hey,
we'll see. We'll see what they do. Moving forward. Hopefully. I'm not gonna lie, bro. I still want to see Jermall Charlo versus Hamza Shiraz.
They're talking about both fighting again, though, so they might not be finished.
I think the word is that Maul is gonna see Caleb. I think
everybody wants to see that one.
Me too, bro.
That's the one people want. After the
slap heard around the world.
That's the natural promotion.
But I think their wives got into it too. I think the Charlo's wives got into some nonsense.
Yes, they did.
Bro.
Like I said, that fight will promote itself.
No, I don't. I
That's
can't see
man.
them fighting. I really can't see those two fighting. No, not really.
Marlon Plant? You don't see that one?
Oh no, I mean Maul and Mel.
Oh no, I was talking about Jamal and Plant.
Oh no, I definitely want to see that one. I don't care that Caleb's coming off of a loss. To be honest with you, I don't really. And Charlo, to his credit, bro, he said it. Like, people still want to see it. Let's have it, bro. Let's have it. Let's just have the fights, bro. Screw everything else.
People got to forget them just throwing a fighter away because of a loss, man.
Because the stage was set, bro. You got to remember, the stage was set. Charlo versus Lamana and Plant versus Resendez, but Plant lost.
Plant lost.
So I don't want to hear nothing else about you fight this guy, I fight. No. Just fight straight up, bro.
Just fight. Forget all that other stuff, man. That's what ruins fights, you know. Definitely. But you know what else about this fight this weekend? The trainers. It could be a preview of Virgil and Boots, the same two trainers, Bozy and Robert Garcia, right?
Oh, that's right. Wow. Yeah, I mean, didn't Virgil sign with Dana White?
Man, I don't know what Virgil doing.
Yeah, me neither.
It looked like he's not confident, man. It looked like his confidence not there. I ain't gonna say he's scared. It looked like his confidence. He's not as confident as a lot of his fans is that he can beat Boots. It don't look like Virgil and his team that confident, man. You know, energy is not right.
I'll tell you this. It's a hard one for me, bro.
Why do you deserve 10 million? You're not even a champion. You've never been a champion. You know?
That's bad. That's bad enough.
Why do you deserve so much more than Boots? Boots don't care. You can be the A side, but you don't deserve all that much more money than Boots. They're talking about 60-40. Why?
No,
Boots been a champion before in another division, but he did hit. Virgil ain't never even fought for.
He was a champion, and he defended and unified.
That's right. Virgil never fought for a major belt. So why do you deserve all this more money?
Because it's a way of ducking without saying that you're ducking.
Pricing, and then gonna say say Boots ducked.
Exactly. It's called. How's that called in a debate? I think that's called arguing from silence.
This is obvious ducking right here, man.
Yeah, but you got to remember, you got to save face somehow.
But because before this fight last year, that's all the boxing world was talking. Before their last two, each was scheduled to fight last year. Remember, Boots was fighting the I forgot the guy's name, and Virgil was getting ready for Lubin. Everybody talked about it. They both win, Virgil and Boots. Nobody said anything about no Earl Spence.
Oh, for God's sake.
The whole boxing world was Virgil and Boots. And once Virgil won, all of a sudden the energy changed. He was in the ring when Boots got in the ring talking about some shit somebody said on Twitter. Boots said, let's just fight, man.
No, exactly. Like this ain't the time for that, bro.
I said, oh no. Right then I said, oh no. That's when I started thinking we ain't gonna get this fight. Because Virgil energy was way off when Boots got in that ring, man.
Yeah, and not only that, leave the social media stuff for social media.
Yeah.
We're face to face now, but not only that, bro. Here's the worst of the worst. Like because I was about to say that I'm starting to believe it's all on Oscar, but here's why I don't.
No, I don't think it's all on Oscar.
No, me neither. And here's why. Of Virgil's mouth, and this was right after he got into it with Boots on the ring, right? This is right after that.
Right after.
He was like, Errol Spence. And I'm like, hang on a second here.
Virgil was talking about Errol Spence, not Oscar.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Virgil. Yeah, Virgil, which is even worse.
I know what you're saying. That's what I was agreeing with. It wasn't Oscar, it was Virgil.
I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly. I thought I said Oscar. I'm sorry.
No, you said Virgil. You said it right.
And bro, like Bozy said it best. Like Errol's been out for how long? Like that's not attractive, bro. And what is that supposed
to crap beat out of him in his last fight?
Exactly. Not to mention the accident. Not to mention the accident. I mean, what is that supposed to do for you, Virgil? Anyway,
I don't know. He was made to look like a novice in his last fight, and we going into the fourth year now. That was 2020. The third year. That was 2023, right?
Yes.
It's 2026. You talking about fighting him? And everybody, all his fanboys is saying the same thing. Oh, it's Oscar. It's his team. No, it ain't. It's Virgil. It's not no team. It's Virgil.
That's true. I
And
think it's all
them
of them,
get
but it's
excuse.
Virgil.
Virgil want to fight, but it's no, it ain't. Virgil don't want to fight neither.
He knows what's gonna happen, and so does everybody else on that team when it's all said and done.
They saw Secure and Oscar Valdez and Bud and Canelo. They know exactly what's going to happen.
And two great analogies.
Yeah,
they two great analogies.
He might get stopped.
He's definitely getting. I'd be as a matter of fact, if Virgil goes the full 12, I'll give him full credit. Trust me.
He's tailor-made for Boots.
Completely.
He's gonna be right there in front of him.
Exactly. Right, like he doesn't have angles like Karen does, or he doesn't have feet like that or speed like that. Now, granted, Virgil.
He's talented now.
Right. Yeah. You know, I don't want to make it seem like he's nothing either. You know, like, but he's just not. And listen, it's not like it's an insult to say that you're gonna get your ass whooped by Boots, because Boots is obviously him.
Okay, Stanionis. Stanionis was an undefeated champion.
Yes, and highly respected, by the way. Highly respected. He wasn't no Louis Croker type champion or Mario Barrios or something like that. No. You know, respected champion.
I still got Stanionis just about over anybody else at welterweight. Tell you the truth.
I would say, I don't know about Beanorm, but the rest, I think he beats Louis Croker, and I think he probably. I'll tell you this, bro.
Might beat Norman.
I think he beats Rolly too.
Yeah, he beats Rolly. I got him beating Norman.
That would be a hell of a fight, wouldn't it be?
All them guys Norman was knocking out, I was trying to tell people, Devin would dominate these guys over 12 rounds easily. When they was talking their trash about Norman going to knock Devin out, look at them. Devin would dominate every one of those guys easily over 12 rounds, man. Easily. You know?
Yeah.
Anybody that Norman knocked out easily, it wouldn't have been no problem.
I think Devin is above
going to beat him.
To be honest with you, I don't think anybody can touch Devin. At 54, different story, but at 47, nobody. Because he's not going to let nobody talk him out of it. And I'm not even a Devin fan. Me neither.
He's not going to listen to the people and let the people talk him into being some kind of fighter that he's not. He's going to go in there and fight his fight.
Yeah.
What it takes for him to win. Right.
And it's no secret at this point what he's gonna do. That's the one thing that I gotta give to Floyd and Devin and the likes of them, because everybody knows what they're gonna do. Now go out there and stop it. Different story.
Elite boxers, man. It's hard to beat an elite boxer.
Yeah.
The footwork and the ring generalship and the jab and all. It's hard. It's hard, man. Even Eddie, what's his name? Canelo's trainer said that, man. He said it's hard to beat that style. Yeah. He admitted it.
It is. And
it's hard to beat that style.
Man, I was gonna say, you know what? If you're Virgil, and let me say this, you know, just to give him some dash. You know, I don't want to, but you know, if you want to fight somebody else, I'm good with you fighting Fundora. I'm good with that one.
Yeah, not Earl Spence.
Not at all.
No, not Earl. Yeah, I'm good with Fundora.
Yeah, get you a belt. Let Boots fight the winner of Bakram and
Kelly. With Zen is another top name. If Virgil fought him instead of Boots, I'd be good with that.
Because if they fight for unification, because they might end up fighting for unification, and I mean, who wouldn't want to see that one? I mean, the more stakes, the better, right? But if you're Virgil, you're looking for somebody else because you know you can't handle this guy.
Yeah,
fight Fundora. Because not for nothing, bro. I actually would favor Virgil against Fundora, not for nothing.
Yeah. Okay. Would you think he'd stop him? Or the distance?
I think he stops him. A lot of people disagree. A lot of people think that he's not going to be able to deal with the length of Fundora, which is a good argument, by the way.
Virgil is a good fighter, man. But it's Boots.
Yeah.
You know, it's just Boots. And like you said, don't feel bad because you can't beat Boots, because there's a lot of people out there can't beat Boots, man.
Exactly.
Boots can box like Floyd and Devin plus got power and stuff.
It's a joy to watch that man fight. It's an absolute joy to watch that man fight.
Switch it. And
Yes.
in there enjoying himself, having fun. You know?
Exactly. One thing that I will say about Boots, bro, because I mean, we gotta say something, right? That is not so positive. So I'll say this: I would like to see him a little, okay, just a little more defensively responsible
Yeah.
at times.
Yeah.
You know,
that's true. Yeah.
Here and there, he takes a few shots that, I mean, you're gonna get hit in boxing. We know this, but
Yeah.
against Karen too, particularly, I think yes.
And what's his name
Yes.
too? The other one, what was the guy named that beat Rashidi? Yeah, he took too much against him too.
Yes.
He got him out of there, but Villa was tagging him. You know? So I agree with that. Yeah, he could be a little bit more defensive responsible. Yeah.
But that's not like a huge deal, in my opinion, because it's not like he hasn't even been wobbled, so it's not like he got dropped or anything, you know.
Like that. Yeah.
So it's I'm saying that, but I'm also like, listen, this guy, Cass, he's obviously him. I mean, it's so obvious to me. He, just because he doesn't curse all the time when he does interviews or he doesn't go off, doesn't mean that he's not a stone cold killer.
And don't respond to everything somebody say all the time.
Right. He does his thing, man.
Be on Twitter battling back and forth with another boxer. He don't do that.
No, he's not. He's not a Ricardo Mayorga type of dude, bro, or an Adrian Broner type dude. He's just not, bro.
But you know what worries me, Bob? What worries me, Arnie? Remember how good Boo Boo was, and he kept getting ducked, and look how he ended up. I hope that don't happen to Boots, because Boo Boo was ducked terribly, man. When he was younger coming out, he was talented.
Yes, for sure. Boo Boo Andre should be a legend.
And look how he ended up, man. See, I just hope Boots don't end up like that, man. Nah,
I don't think so. He's already.
But see what's happening with Virgil. The pattern is already starting. Fighters will say all this stuff, but when it comes your turn, that's when the hesitation comes in. I just hope it don't happen. I hope you're right, man. I just hope that don't happen because
I don't see it happening. First, he's one of the. For starters, he's with one of the best, or one of the more well-known promoters in the game, which Boo Boo.
That was a good move, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well,
that's a big difference.
Remains to be seen, right? I guess it remains to be seen because so far, bro, we'll see what happens because he just got here. So I'll give Eddie the benefit of the doubt because he just got to 54. A worst case can be made by Virgil. You got 5 fights at 54 and you haven't even fought for a belt yet. Something wrong with that picture.
What's going on?
This guy only
does he want a title?
No, never.
I said, does he want one?
Oh, that's a good question.
Man?
That's a good question.
I thought he would have fought for a title a long time ago.
He should have, because
his name been thrown out. Remember, him and Tim Tszyu was supposed to fight, but then Tim was coming back too soon after the Fundora fight. Remember, so they nixed that. I knew that wasn't going to happen because all that blood and stuff, and he was trying. It was only like about 4 months later or something. Remember? So yeah. And what's a good fight if Boots don't get Virgil? What would be a good move for Boots? You think?
Two things, two options, in my opinion. You can fight the winner of Bakram versus Josh Kelly, which is happening in like 2 weeks or something.
Yeah, it's the same week as Shakur and Teal next weekend.
And Sander and Abbas too.
Yeah, the week after this. Yeah. Yep.
And or fight the winner of Abbas versus Sander, but there's a problem with that one.
What's the problem with that one?
Whoever wins is probably going to get a voluntary first.
Okay. Yeah.
Because it's unified champions, and not for nothing, they deserve a voluntary. I'll say that.
After that, they will. Yeah, they get a voluntary after that.
So I don't have any problem. I know that the boxing scene hasn't. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
I don't blame them. Somebody was saying that the other day. Some famous Andre Wood was like, "Don't get out there and fight a killer every time." He said that's bad for your health. He said that in an interview the other day. So yeah, Xander and the other guy, who's he fighting?
Abbas Barrow.
Yeah, Abbas. They deserve an easy fight after that.
For sure.
Like, whoever wins, whoever loses. Yeah, Andre Wood said that the other day. He said that's bad for your health. You're not there fighting top contenders every time like that, you know?
Yeah. David Benavidez should get that memo, bro, for real.
I know.
Like he's. I'm not the. Jao Petay is my guy. We all know this, but
everybody's.
But David, bro, like he's okay. He made Anthony Yard look easy. I'll give him that one. He made it look too easy. But aside from that, Morel, Vostick, Caleb Plant, Boo Boo Andre,
some tough people back
yeah.
And then he was going after Bivol, remember?
Yes, and Beterbiev too, and he's going after Zurdo, and Zurdo ain't no chopped liver.
No, bro. He's a champion.
Yes.
Yeah.
He
need to take a light one, like a tune-up or something. Yeah.
I think he should fight Callum Smith.
That'd be a good one. Yeah. Good tough fight for him that he would win, and good name.
I don't.
Is Callum at cruiserweight now?
Oh, that's right. No, he's no, that's right. No, he's 70. Well, I mean, okay, cruiserweight. I mean, yeah, you can fight Barujak or maybe Noel Mikhailian,
But is David gonna stay up there because I don't have Bivol or Beterbiev going to no cruiserweight?
No.
So he must have gave up on those fights, didn't he?
Bro, I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
Listen, with all due respect to Zurdo, okay, I'm not the biggest fan, but I do respect him. He deserves respect. With all due respect to Zurdo, ain't no way that's a bigger fight than Beterbiev or Bivol, especially Bivol. No. And let me tell you why. Bivol is the filet mignon of his career, and here's why. You beat the dude that ducked you, bro. Like that would put the icing on the cake. Yep. Now that's a big if. I personally don't think he beats Bivol, but I do think he can. I do think he can beat.
He got to stop him because he no way he outpoints Bivol. No way.
I don't see it, and Bivol doesn't get tired like that,
And Bivol went 24 rounds with Beterbiev. Benavidez ain't stopping him.
Come on.
So I don't see Benavidez. Exactly. I don't see how Benavidez can win that fight.
I mean,
I don't.
Me neither. The thing is that Bivol's coming off of a back surgery and everything, so there's that. And but if Bivol can be, I don't know, man, because I gotta tell you, you know what? This is probably no point to it at this point because I don't see Benavidez taking off 25 pounds to go back down. Nah. And if he does that, it's probably going to kill his career.
Yeah.
Like, we've seen that before,
He's tall and, he's huge, Benavidez. Even when he was down at 168, you can see how big he was.
Exactly.
Probably could go to heavyweight. Seriously.
That's where I see him. That's where I see him because
he got the frame for it, like, he's tall.
The thing with David, bro, is that seeing it from his particular set of lens, right? I think I'm not giving him an excuse at all, but I thoroughly believe that waiting for Canelo for so long,
I know,
got him, because he's saying, Samson was saying that Bivol was like the Russian Canelo, and that's when it clicked to me. That's what, man, this guy's really never recovered from that, so to speak.
Yeah, and that's a good point.
But I think someday, because it's done now, it's official. He's fighting Zurdo on the Cinco de Mayo weekend. It's done. Yeah. Someday, bro, just like I've been saying that someday Wilder's going to look back and regret firing Mark Breland, in my opinion. I thoroughly believe, bro, that he's going to look back one day and say, damn, if I would have just waited for 6 more months.
Just waited, yeah.
Because Zurdo ain't going nowhere. Zurdo's right there,
He should have waited. Bivol would have fought him if he felt he was right, like you were saying about the back and everything, yeah.
And here's my problem with David in that regard. Here's where I cannot really excuse him with all that being said, because they're 1-on-1, bro. You know this. Yeah. You went to the fight. Didn't he go to the second one, I believe? I
think he was at the second one.
Yeah, I believe he attended the...
Was that the one where he was kind of inebriated and they caught a little flack from that? Wasn't that one of those fights?
I
And
don't. I'm not sure.
but the man is a spectator. What the hell y'all got to do with what he do, drinking or whatever? He's celebrating.
At the very
Huh?
least, I know for sure that if he didn't, I'm pretty sure he attended it. But even if he
Yeah.
didn't, it's for damn sure that he paid attention to it.
Oh yeah, you know that.
And you know they're one-on-one. You know they gotta get closure
Yeah.
to it. So that doesn't really, you know, this from the get-go. So why do you like get
Let me
so?
ask you this. Let me ask you this. It could be in his head because of the Canelo situation. He waited so long, and then once Bivol went back to Viterbi, he was like, "I'm not going through this shit anymore." You know, could that have something to do with it?
It has to be, right?
Yeah.
It has to be. But
He said,
I
"No,
don't.
I'm not going to do this anymore," and went on up. You know.
I don't know that excuses it though. That's the problem because
Yeah.
you would have.
Yeah.
Because if that's the case, you would have jumped straight up. You know, you would have jumped straight up and not waited. What are you waiting for? Don't you know they're one-on-one and Beterbiev's right is way up there, so they gotta do the third one right away.
Got to do it. They can't afford to wait because he's 40. He's 41? I think February is his birthday. Right, Beterbiev. I believe it's in February. So he'll be 41, right?
Yeah. I mean,
And that's before they even get to this third fight. Is it scheduled yet? The third fight?
I don't believe it is, and
So he'll be 41 before they even make it. So yeah, they can't wait. If they're gonna do this trilogy, it's gotta be the next fight, you know?
Yeah.
Because man.
We'll see, man.
Yeah,
it's a lot of letdowns, man. A lot of letdowns.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like we're gonna get Boots Virgil. It doesn't look like we're gonna get. I am hoping, because I know the two Japanese are fighting. I know this, but
this year, yeah, that's got to be this year too.
Yeah, for sure. I don't see Japan. Japan is different, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously, like Japan don't play like that. You know,
they're gonna fight.
Yeah, they have to. It's now or never, bro. Seriously. But I'm hoping
Monster's up in his 30s too, right?
Say that again.
Monster's in his 30s too, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
They're still in their prime, you know. But the more you wait, bro, the more you're risking somebody. I mean, we almost had a scare with Junto Nakatani versus Sebastian Hernandez.
It could happen.
So, I mean, yeah.
The Monster been down, you know.
Yes.
One of them times maybe he don't get back up and then that's it.
Yeah, I'm
telling you.
go
ahead and get it in. Go ahead and get this fight in, man. Before we lose it. Yeah.
Yeah. They have
like you say, it's Japan. I see them fighting each other this year.
One more fight that I have to see, because I don't think we're getting. I'd be shocked if we get Fury and AJ, especially after that whole thing that AJ went through.
Yeah,
it's still early in the year, though. Still early in the year, so
is he? What kind of shape is he in, though? I haven't been keeping track of it. Is he even fighting anymore? Or
I heard that he was back in the gym, but I cannot. I cannot assure that, you know, which is great to hear, obviously. But the fight that I have to see by the end of this year is gotta be Jairo Petaya versus whoever wins that fight in May, bro. Please, seriously.
In Zerdo, right?
Because there's a dark horse in the cruiserweight division, and his name is Ryan Rosicki. The problem with him is that he cannot stay healthy for the life of him. He keeps rupturing his bicep, which is a horrible injury, bro.
Yeah, it is. Wow, good for a boxer too. Wow.
Yeah, and this guy is dangerous. He's got some he doesn't have the skills, okay, but he definitely has the heart, the will, the power, and the chin. He's built like a brick house.
But you know what? He might be rushing back too soon off of that bicep, you know. He might need to just get it repaired good and just take a good long period off and let it heal totally, you know.
The problem is he's ruptured that same biceps at least 3 times now.
Rushing back too fast, you know.
Man, that scares me.
Yeah.
That scares me. Because it's not like a broken hand, you know. They put pins in it. It happens all the time, you know. A bicep like that can happen in the middle of a fight.
Yeah, that's something like sort of like similar to injuring the ligaments. You keep
Exactly.
injuring that, eventually it's going to be not going to be repairable where you can fight anymore. Keep getting those little
Yes.
lingering injuries like that to it.
I
Those
mean,
things are funny, man.
when you not only that, when you miss a shot, well, it's more the shoulder there. It's more the shoulder. Now, let me think. When you throw a shot at a guy and you hit him, for example, in the hip instead of the body,
Yeah.
or that you can rupture your bicep right then and there.
Doing that, yeah. And if it's already not right,
Yes.
yeah, he might need to just take some time off and get it right. But that could be the problem. Because like in the NFL, when they like mess the ligaments up and stuff, they usually be out for the year, like a torn ligament or something. You don't just come right back in a couple months and stuff. Out for like a season to get that right, but they make sure it's right when they come back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. All right, brother, you got something else? Because I got to do something in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, I got to get ready. I was supposed to get off at 4, but we get to going. Yeah, you coming on tonight?
Yeah, I'm sure I will. Last week was real busy for me, but this week is better. So
I did catch you one day.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to go a little early. I'll see.
Who was that you had up there? You had somebody up there on the panel.
Yeah, that day that you were watching the Steelers, right?
Yeah, I didn't get his name. Yeah, that day.
His name is Abdul Rahim. He's a British Muslim brother.
Oh yeah, I did catch his accent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool guy. Knows his stuff.
Okay.
It's good to have new people. The people from different areas and
I know.
and
different perspectives and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, you already know I appreciate the hell out of you, brother. I mean, it's always a pleasure to speak with you.
Always.
God bless you and God bless this show. And we'll see you soon, my brother.
Okay. Okay, appreciate you. Boxing Arnie coming on tonight. Look for him. Around 9-ish, 10-ish, around in that range. Okay, appreciate Boxing Arnie, 1,000,000%. Irony, 1,000,000%. And everybody else that came through today. Tomorrow it's going to be boxing during the 1930s. Okay. Wednesday is going to be brought to you by Thomas Hill Boxing Cornerman. Thursday is the WBC. And then Friday is the life and career of Gentleman Jerry Cooney. And that's the week. Okay, so everybody have a great afternoon. Just Do Boxing is probably already in progress. If it's Monday through Friday, 2 p.m., it's The Boxtorian, bringing you all that boxing history. Everybody have a great afternoon.